Hello and welcome to another episode of Anniversary Edition. Today we are going to be talking about Ghostbusters, which celebrates its 35th anniversary this year. As always, we're going to spoil the film, but if you haven't seen it, I don't know anyone that hasn't seen this film, so... But if you haven't, just in case, go and watch it and then come back and have a listen. I'm Sophie and I am here today with Tom.
Hello.
And Adam.
How's it going?
So this is
Gonna leave me cold like that.
Yeah,
You all right?
just going to flat out ignore you, sorry.
Wow, I can
It's
see where
going good.
I can see where this episode's going already.
Sorry, so this is a 1984 American fantasy comedy drama?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi?
Well,
Super ni-fi.
IMDb says action comedy fantasy.
Oh.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, Dan Aykroyd certainly has one.
I mean, it's
I'm
kind
sure
of
we'll get to that later.
fantasy because it's not sci-fi, right? Because...
Well,
Of course it's
Of
sci-fi.
course it's sci-fi.
well, it's
But
ghosts.
They've got proton packs and
Well, they're sci-fi,
traps.
but ghosts are sort of fantasy paranormal, right?
But it's also horror, right? Because ghosts are horror.
Scary.
It's a little bit scary. I think we've got a lot here. There are a lot of
There's
genres.
going on.
I was going to say, could it be like ungenre definable?
Ghostbusters.
It could be.
Doth stride the world like a mighty colossus.
It really could be totally undefinable.
It's not...
Okay.
Wait, what is it not? What is Ghostbusters not?
I mean, I was going to say romance, but I mean, I guess kind of...
Yeah, there's
There's a
romantic
little bit of
elements.
that in
It's
there.
Not, you know, there's a definite.
It's not a portmanteau film. Congratulations, Ghostbusters.
It's
You
not
are
a martial
Love
arts
Actually.
film.
That's true.
It's not a martial arts movie.
But
It's not a
Thank you.
Sentai, although elements of it.
it's not. It's not a musical.
It's not a
No,
musical.
it's definitely
Great
not a
score,
musical.
though.
Great score, not a musical.
Yep.
There we
Okay.
go. All right. Okay.
So it's not two things.
Those are the things that Ghostbusters is not. If you like everything else, you may find elements of it in Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So this was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis and produced and directed by Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't written a synopsis. I do apologise, fans.
Do you want me to read the one off IMDb?
Go
No,
for it,
no,
Tom.
no, no.
Oh.
It's one sentence.
If there's something strange in the neighbourhood,
No, it's 3 former parapsychology professors set up shop as a unique ghost removal service.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to go with something more along the lines of 3 friends unite to rid the city of a ghost attack.
Which is kind of their own making in a way, but that's fine. But
Yes, dear.
So top line, what do you guys think? Tom?
Oh, I want to hear what Tom has to say. He hates it.
So watching this back was kind of slightly problematic because I discovered I couldn't really watch it critically.
Okay.
I see.
You know, for this podcast, I like to look at the cinematography and the sound, and I like to look at it in all of its elements as also as a movie as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, you do film studies and you learn to read films
Yes.
aside from just watching them. But the problem with this is it's so ingrained into my experience of film that I find it really difficult to do that.
Yeah, I think I said when we did Wizard of Oz, was it?
Yeah.
I find it really hard because I'd done the show and I've seen the film
Yeah.
so many times. And yeah, it is really difficult, I think, to be critical when you have seen something so many times and there's so many cultural references and it's, yeah. But, I mean, generally, are you a fan of the film?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even begin to think how many times I've seen this film.
Wow.
Because, you know, when I was a kid, the VHSs that I watched the most were Ghostbusters, Back to the Future,
Oh, okay.
The Goonies, and Tron.
Wow.
There's a few others as well. But those 4 were the ones that were like on heavy rotation in my
Okay.
VCR.
Okay. Adam, how about you? Top line?
I think if you clicked on this podcast and you saw we were talking about Ghostbusters, you've seen Ghostbusters, and you know what Ghostbusters is. Ghostbusters is an A-star movie, and it remains an A-star movie.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, top line for me, I don't remember a time I didn't know about this film and hadn't seen this film.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Unbelievable.
And that's the podcast.
And we're done.
And we're done.
So, okay, Tom, you said you seen, like, it was on VHS repeat for you. So do you know when you might have first seen it?
So I was trying to figure this out because I know I was quite young, and I managed to figure it out by Google image searching the cover of the VHS that I remember.
Okay.
And
wow.
And then finding the back of that cover and finding out when that was released.
Oh.
And it was released in 1987.
Ah.
So obviously this came out in 84. I'm pretty sure I probably would have had it on taped off the TV before that.
Okay.
And then bought the actual VHS. So I probably would have seen this 1986, end of 1986, beginning of 1987, when I would have been 6.
Wow. Okay. Adam, how about you?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no clue when I first saw Ghostbusters. I do remember the cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember loving the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters. And there was a fake Ghostbusters cartoon as well, which is why they had to call it the real Ghostbusters, and I liked both.
Okay, I don't remember the other one.
Yeah. There was a fake Ghostbusters and the real Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So I probably saw the cartoons, in fairness, well before I saw the movie. I had all the action figures, but certainly I saw it in primary school.
Yeah.
Is it okay to have seen Ghostbusters in primary school?
You know,
I saw it when I was 6.
Because I kind of
yes
felt
from
the
Tom.
same. I was like, I don't remember when I first saw this, but I must have been really young because it's just, I mean, I must have been in primary school when I saw this. I would have seen this on TV. I wouldn't have. Well, I mean, it came out before I was born, so
the real
cinema.
The real Ghostbusters cartoon ran from September 1986 to October 1991.
Ah, okay.
5-year run, that's decent.
Yeah. I didn't realise it went on that long.
Yeah, no, me either.
That's
But I remember it well. There was a cartoon. I wonder if you can find it, Tom. It may have been just called Ghostbusters. And I remember thinking, this is weird. It doesn't seem to have anything in common with the main franchise, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
Just looking it up here. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right, let's talk amongst ourselves. So, if you could bust any kind of ghost, what ghost would you bust?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
So this kind of ghost no longer exists.
I don't know.
I think
really
it would
hard.
be scary, wet Japanese people ghosts. You know, like the kind you find in The Grudge or The Ring?
Yeah, okay.
Wet Japanese people ghosts are...
Well, they move funny too.
Yeah, they're an uncomfortable kind of ghost.
That's a good...
I would bust that ghost.
Like little children...
Child ghosts. Victorian?
And hospital.
Are they Victorian in your head?
Yeah, they're Victorian children.
You'd
Oh, wow.
bust Victorian children.
You want to kill Victorian children with...
No, I don't.
She wants to bust them.
I want
She wants to
to
bust them.
Right.
I want to bust the ones that are haunting people.
Oh, fine.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Even if they're still
Okay,
alive.
so to clarify your confusion, the real Ghostbusters was that because Filmation had a 1970s live-action comedy series called The Ghostbusters.
What? Okay.
And they were making a cartoon revamp of it, so that's why they called it.
And it never happened.
I think they must have done. Maybe not. I don't know.
See, I think I saw it on.
Oh yeah,
I had it on tape.
Yeah, it did happen.
Okay, all right. So
Animated
I'm not
television
going
series.
mad because
No.
it's easy to misremember stuff when you're 6 years old. But yeah, I think I had it on tape and it was weird.
It looks it. I'd never heard of it.
Cool. Okay, I remembered something accurately
Well done.
from childhood.
Well done.
That's a big achievement for me.
That's a big achievement for anyone.
All right,
I
so
can't remember what happened last week.
yeah, I know. What was our podcast for last week, Sophie?
Oh, it was Godzilla.
Was it?
It was, yeah.
It
Okay.
was, yeah. Yay. That was fun.
Is that your impression of Godzilla?
Yeah.
Decimating Japan. Yay!
So I think it's safe to say we all like this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite moments. This is kind of tough because I think there's lots.
So because I realised that I wasn't able to really watch this kind of critically, I did actually kind of have to sit down. Okay, I need to pick some answers to some questions I know you're going to ask me. And there's two sides to it that I think, trying to look at it critically, my favourite scene is in the hotel where they do the first bust with Slimer, or the ghost that went on to become Slimer. Because it's kind of like that first moment and the realization of the fact that they're actually doing the thing now. Like it's like up until that point, they're all a bit kind of,
they weren't field tested at all.
No, they're all a bit bumbling, and they're a bit kind of like, is it real? Is it not? And you have the incident in the library, obviously, which kind of proves, okay, so the ghosts do exist. But then, there's all of the other stuff about, the actual concept of them essentially, like they would say, being exterminators.
Yes.
And you get that scene. You get Slimer around the halls on the fifth floor.
Yeah.
And you get to see the proton packs being used for the first time. You get to see the trap being used for the first time. The sequence in the ballroom. So for me, that's the scene that kind of sums everything up.
Okay.
That's the scene that sold $10 million worth of plastic toys.
Yeah.
I'd kind of forgotten. I guess I had, like, Slimer and the fact that there was this whole plastic toy.
Yeah, Slime was a
Mm.
huge thing. He was the Jar Jar Binks of Ghostbusters. He was
people liked him.
He was the R2D2 of Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, watching it back, I was so surprised that he had such a personality.
But I kind of
But
feel
they don't really use him.
No, but I think that's because, like, that nostalgia for it is probably more to do with the cartoon than it is to do with the film.
Yeah.
Because Slimer then becomes
Agreed.
their pet in the real Ghostbusters,
Yes.
right? Doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think he was just another ghost in Ghostbusters.
In the film, yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, how about you? Can you pick? Oh, sorry, Tom. Was that your only kind of favorite?
Well, the other thing I was going to say was the fact that there are moments in this film that trigger such strong sense memories of my childhood.
Okay.
And it's not like because it's a particularly brilliant scene or something. It's just like a music sting or like a line or something I'll hear, and I'm instantly I can see my childhood living room and the TV we had, and so it's just like that's how much it is ingrained in my brain. So yeah, there are moments where it's just like. I think one of the sort of audio stings is when after they shut down the containment field and the roof blows off the firehouse, and you have that shot of New York, and the kind of the vapors are kind of and there's
around.
like a really sort of like crazily 80s piece of music score, but not score with a vocal, and it's just kind of slightly weird, I suppose, when you kind of like look at it critically, like all of those things separated out like that.
Yeah.
But that moment, like, there's something that like always makes my ears prick up. Like, I always hear that moment. I always kind of see that, and that's one that triggers like a sense memory.
Interesting. Adam, how about you? Favorite moments?
Loads of favourite moments. I think the film really, for me, starts becoming... You really start paying attention to it when you see the librarian in the library.
Yeah.
It's like a scary scene.
That was the moment that scared me as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never that scary again.
No.
And it's almost a developed horror idea. at that point.
Yeah, but I think that's still hands down the scariest moment in the entire film.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
easily,
is.
easily.
Absolutely. And given that we all watched this when we were kids,
Yeah.
like that is quite a scary kind of scene to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's full-on paranormal activity level stuff. As far as scenes are concerned,
Yep.
I'm not sure what my favourite is. There are a lot of great scenes in this film. The dialogue, for me, is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great.
I love this. I've written down some of my favourite lines.
What are they?
Okay, so I think maybe I have 3 favourite lines. You forget I was present at a mass undersea sponge vibration.
Yes. Is it vibration or migration?
I think I wrote down vibration.
I think it's migration because I think the response to that line is, "Oh, come on, they moved like a foot and a half."
Okay,
or
yeah.
something like that.
All right, migration then, yeah. I've worked in the private sector. They expect results. Listen, you smell something. I wrote down because I thought it was quite funny. Hey, listen, you smell something. My favourite line in the movie was something that I'd forgotten. But you're endangering our client, a nice lady who paid us in advance before she became a dog.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
I loved it. Yeah. Favorite scenes. You know, the biggest, flashiest moment of the film with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is
Yeah.
like the famous scene of the movie, but I don't think it's the best scene.
No, I don't either.
No.
I think it's fairly bleh. I think Ghostbusters 2, despite not being anywhere near as good a film, completely buries it in the sort of show-stopping finale scene.
Yeah, that's because it had to be bigger and better, didn't it?
And it was. And it was.
Yeah. Before we move on to more of your favourite stuff, talking about the script,
Yeah.
literally the first piece of trivia on IMDb is that almost none of the scenes were filmed as scripted. Most of the scenes have at least 1 or 2 ad-libs, and most of Bill Murray's lines are ad-libbed.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Should we talk about Bill Murray?
We can. Do you
Or
have
should
any
we
more
talk
favourite
about
moments?
your favourite moments?
I mean, I struggled, I think, like all of us, to pick just
It's a lot
one.
of quality.
I think the first time, like rewatching it, I think the first time you actually see the ghost like floating in the library, and they're all kind of like
reading a book.
What do we do? And she shushes them.
Yeah.
I love that. And then they're literally like, what do we do? Like, well, we're Ghostbusters, but what have we actually gotten ourselves into? Because we have no idea what we're doing. And then obviously when they run up to her, and then she turns into the like rah, and like scary monster, you know, and they're like whoa, and they run out, kind of terrified. I think that's probably it's up there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what's most impressed me about that scene is watching it now. The ghosts hold up.
They do, and that's what I was
It's
really
very
surprised
simple.
by.
It's a simple, good effect. It's not overdone.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
just
I've
good.
kind of forgotten that. I mean, I didn't get scared watching it this time, but
Whatever.
yeah,
You don't have to
terrified.
act tough around us.
But I'd forgotten that it did that, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And actually, it's quick. It's like you say, it's simple, and it looks frightening.
Yep.
Yeah. All of the optical effects in it, I think, are fantastic.
They're great.
Slightly desaturated, semi-opaque for ghosts. It's perfect. It
Yeah.
just works.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Adam, let's come back to what you mentioned.
Can't remember what that was.
Knock and I. That's why I said what you mentioned. Cause I was like,
What did I mention?
Before you talked about my favourite moment, I'm not sure. You said, shall we talk about...
Oh,
Let's
Bill Murray.
talk about Bill
Bill
Murray.
Murray.
Bill Murray, who is
Okay.
credited, like people say, oh, Ghostbusters. Bill Murray, he's amazing in it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay.
Bill Murray's good in Ghostbusters. I'm not going to go that controversial.
Okay.
And it's absolutely, probably not. He was a star going into it, but he's certainly a very memorable performance for him. But Dan Aykroyd playing Ray, I think, is my favourite performance in the film.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
See, I am going to say something even more controversial.
Oh,
I really hated Bill Murray's character in this.
he's a knob.
Have you always felt that way?
No.
But looking back on it now, you do.
Yeah.
You don't like him as much. I never gravitated towards the character of Venkman.
Okay.
I always preferred Ray.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even more so Egon.
You preferred Egon?
Just because he's just like, he's so, like...
He's focused.
He's so focused on the science that he just doesn't see things that are...
Spengler's my favourite character.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote
Spengler.
down. Yeah. Then Ray.
Interesting.
Because
I think like Bill Murray does get a lot of the glory here.
He does. And I'm like...
Stolen Valor.
It's such a... If that film got made today and that character got written like that, I think people would have an issue with it.
I don't think his character was written like that, but, as much.
No, maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe that's Bill Murray getting his first bar. I feel like he's playing Chevy Chase. Anyone else?
I can kind of see what you mean with that. Yeah.
I found it like uncomfortable. You know, this woman comes to them in need. She's freaking out.
Yeah.
And he hits on her, but he doesn't just hit on her. He's in her home.
He's a bit stalky.
And he's totally stalkery vibe. And
Well, I mean, he has, the first scene you see is him hitting on a female student.
Well, yeah.
By electrocuting a male student.
Exactly.
Shocking him so hard the gum falls out of his mouth, which was actually really hilarious physical comedy. Hats off to that one.
But I was so surprised that...
But he's not liked. Like, you can see the door in the opening scene after the opening scene.
Yeah.
With the librarian getting scared in the library, we see the door to their office.
Their office, yeah.
And someone's graffitied on the wall something like Venkman sucks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I felt really uneasy watching.
I think it's just. I think
him.
we're getting into that whole thing of it was. Things that were acceptable then and are not
completely.
now, or acceptable to be played for comedy then and are not necessarily so now.
I think that's the thing is obviously it's. I mean, we talked about this in The Gay Divorcee, and I think it's for comic effect in both of these.
It's boys
films.
will be boys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily fly today.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's why. And I'd completely forgotten that Sigourney Weaver was the lead.
She's amazing in this.
Yeah.
She's so good.
So I put down as my two favourite performances Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. My heart breaks for that kid.
What a great performance, though.
Yeah.
Like, so good.
The reason I picked those two is because Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis, and to a lesser extent Ernie Hudson, have got the safety net of being the gang and the interplay and the majority of the screen time.
Yep.
And a lot of it, they were all from SNL and all, they are a known comedic quantity to kind of together.
Yeah.
So they have that safety net of how to work with each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis coming in and they've got to play these characters that are not of the same world as the others in a way because and
they haven't got the same screen time. They have to get you to the same investment level though as the other characters, but with
if you
less
take
time.
if you take the main three, they've been studying this. They kind of figure out this world of ghosts and stuff like that, and it's that's more normal to them. Whereas they've got to come in and play these characters where it's completely preposterous to them, but then they also have to give over, be possessed, and like do all that other stuff, but still make them
they're both
convincing.
great.
You only have one act to know who these people are.
Yeah,
and you do.
Yeah.
So that's you got to tip your hat to the script as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's certainly the dinner party scene tells you everything you need to know about Rick Moranis' character.
Even before that, I think
it's sweet.
You first see Sigourney Weaver when she gets out of the taxi holding her shopping and she goes in.
Yep.
And she gets up and then you first meet him when they're outside her apartment.
Yes.
And they have that really awkward conversation where he ends up locking himself out. And like even in that single scene, they both 100% set up the characters.
Absolutely, like perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't think when Alien came out.
Alien was 79, so it was 5 years prior to this.
So she was like a
she's a legit star. Yeah.
Action hero.
If anything, in terms of movies, well, I guess no. I mean, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd had done other stuff before this that was pretty big. I mean, things like Blues Brothers and Stripes.
Yeah, but she was probably...
But she was... I would have thought she would have been bigger. Maybe, but maybe I'm wrong.
I would have thought that as well, though. And it's so funny seeing her play that part when all in my head I was like, it's Ripley.
Yeah.
And she's just, this kind of, I don't know what to do. I think there's a ghost in my fridge. And I'm like, Get your gun, Ripley.
Well, there's things like, I think, because obviously I definitely didn't see Alien when I was 6. So,
No.
like, I would have seen her in this first. And I think she's so good in both of those that whenever I'm watching her, it never occurs to me that she's in the other.
No, and
Do you know what I
actually,
mean?
it's not like
Yeah.
I was watching it thinking, oh, it's Ripley. I absolutely was seeing the character. And I
Yeah.
think that's always credit to, a great performance.
Yeah. And the scene where she gets possessed and she turns pretty slutty.
Yeah.
That did weird things to child Adam. Gotta say. I was like, I don't know what's happening here, but
I mean,
she's hot.
But she's just so...
I don't know why I think this or what this means for me, but I think she's hot.
Yeah. There are definitely things in this movie that, like, I'm thinking, did I really... Did I just ignore that when I was 6?
Well, I think
must
Yeah,
have
you
done.
ignore it.
goes over your head.
That's the thing. You could probably show a kid like a legit softcore porno, and they wouldn't remember the sex scenes. They'd just be like, the plot kind of sucked.
It's just, like, there's so much of it that as a child, I guess you just, because you don't have life
blank it out.
experience,
You
you just
blank
don't
it out.
Well, and
see
also,
it.
like, I would have seen this on TV, so I'm assuming there would have been, or maybe there wouldn't
Yes.
have been edits, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
there probably were, yeah.
But you just, it
Probably
doesn't
wouldn't have
mean
been the
anything.
blowjob scene though.
Well, it doesn't mean anything to you. You're just, it goes
No.
so far over your
No. Yeah.
understanding.
So you just blank it out as a kid.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the thing
Well,
is, if you think when you watch kids' films now, there's so many things in kids' films that are for adults.
Yeah.
Yes,
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely,
So
yeah.
it
yeah.
works kind of both.
I mean, there's a Breaking Bad reference in Zootropolis, for example.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
but it's like, I seem to remember the scene you're talking about is the dream sequence
Yeah.
that Dan Aykroyd has. And I'm just like, I remember as a kid knowing, like, that's something sexual.
Yeah. I don't know what.
I don't know what. I don't understand
or
what.
why I think it is, but it's
To
definitely
be perfectly
something.
honest, I still don't understand it to this day. It's just so like,
What was he
what is going
He
on
had a
with that?
ghost-related wet dream,
Yeah,
surrounded by his mates.
but then when they cut back to that room, all of the others are like writhing around in bed as well. So is it like are they all having that dream?
Maybe there was a ghost that goes into their dream, right? So they all woke up afterwards, just pants soaked, just a salty smell in the air,
Oh.
and it's all just something they
wow.
promise that they will never, ever talk about ever again. Man, they needed to get. I reckon that was probably in the movie, in the script. They were like, "This can't."
I always wonder if it's the sort of thing like is that something they put that a filmmaker puts in because they know it will get cut out,
Yeah.
but that they use that as kind of like the thing to cover up the fact of something else they want to keep in. So it's like, oh, you're going to make oh fine, all right, you cut that, but then the censors don't notice the other half
Yeah.
a dozen things you've snuck through, sort of thing, and they just never cut it. But yeah, it's just too weird. Too weird.
Wow.
Well, we've talked a little bit about kind of favorite performances and favorite characters.
Yeah.
But definitively, favorite characters. I think I've said for me it's Spengler and then Ray, but the two kind of
Yeah, I'd agree with you in
Sidekicks.
Ray and Spengler. I think in terms of performances, I think Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis
yes
have
an incredible
like,
skill. Yeah. Adam, how about you?
I think it's Ray.
Okay.
He had the benefit, obviously Dan Aykroyd wrote the script, so he has the benefit of being able to give himself a couple of choice lines here or there.
But I mean,
But then you have Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver who playing these great characters. Yes, they're not playing characters who are outside of their usual wheelhouse. If you see any Rick Moranis film,
No.
that's just who Rick
How
Moranis
he
plays.
plays,
Sigourney
yeah.
Weaver is quite similar.
Oh,
no one's really
absolutely
going.
grant you
So
that.
I think the casting has a lot to work with here.
Yeah.
Also, the guy from the William Atherton from the EPA, who just plays that guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just
well,
Good
you say,
casting.
Great
that
casting.
he didn't just play that guy. It was this movie and Die Hard that makes you think he plays that guy.
Yeah.
right.
They're the only movies he's played that guy
I think they might
in.
be the only movies I've seen
I've
him
seen
in.
him.
You've probably
yeah.
seen him in a lot more. His portrayal of Walter Peck has legitimately pretty much got him beaten up on several occasions where people just hate that character
Wow.
so much they will start a fight with him in a bar.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. What's wrong with
Yeah,
people?
I think he actually he called up. I don't know if it was Ivan Reitman or if it was somebody else, but he called them up and said that you ruined my life because I just get so much hate because of that.
I mean, that's not ideal.
No, but he's brilliant.
Oh, he's so good. And I kind of, there was so much of this film watching it, and so many characters that I'd kind of forgotten were there. Like the receptionist, she's great in this.
Janine Melnitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She's it's great performance. She's got some great lines.
It's Annie Potts, isn't it?
Yeah. And such a good addition to the team.
Yeah. And her voice, like,
brilliant.
is just like, I think, as a kid, that's what you sound like if you're a woman from New York.
Yeah.
Like that voice is just like, that's what you think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and like the joy on her face as well when they get that first call and she's like, we got one. So we're obviously, as we've all said, big fans, but is there anything for you that doesn't work or that you don't like or that's weird?
I mean, the dream sequence we talked about.
Yeah.
That's weird. I think it works.
I don't think
it doesn't really add anything.
Yeah.
There's definitely sort of like a couple of times the movie starts to move to like sort of kind of skew in a sort of sexual direction, and it always just feels wrong.
Yeah.
Because you have a sense of what the film is.
Yeah.
And that's great. It's sort of like a family comedy, ghost, sci-fi, supernatural movie, and then you get the sex ghost.
I don't think it was a family comedy. I don't think that's what it was supposed to be.
I think you're right. It's because look at the cast.
Yeah.
You don't put Bill Murray in a family comedy like this, but it's what Ghostbusters ended up being. So whether it became that in the edit.
No, I don't think it was.
Or just because it was such a cultural thing.
I think it is. It was a cultural thing. I think it just appealed to people, and it obviously wasn't quite as rude and lewd as they thought it would be.
Yeah.
There's no swearing in it, or very little.
Maybe someone turned around to Dan Aykroyd and said, "If you remove these scenes, this movie will make another $100 million." And he was like, "Wow, they're not that."
I don't think so.
Not that necessary.
It just I think they saw the possibilities with it because the toy franchising and the cartoon that came out of it. I think it became a family thing.
I mean, but in my head that's what it is. It's a family, borderline action or kind of film.
Yeah, you could show your kid this movie at 6 years old and easy, no problem, no problem at all. But whenever the film does go in a slightly more sexual area, like when Sigourney Weaver's is possessed and she's seducing Peter Venkman, you're like, it's odd.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's why she's trying to have sex with this guy. Oh, I suppose because, Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis do have sex off camera.
Yeah.
In this movie. Which is odd. What I got from it is that she is trying to have sex with the gatekeeper. So when she thinks that he's the gatekeeper, she tries to seduce him. And then when Rick Moranis comes along, she sweeps him off his feet, gives him a strong kiss, and then we move scene, and then the next scene his hair's all ruffled up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's what I assumed watching it. But then I'm as an adult, that's what I assumed watching it.
Yeah.
As a kid,
see, that's the sort of stuff that I end up just not thinking about
because it's so ingrained in your childhood. You don't even notice that they banged.
Yeah. Even now, I'm thinking like, do they? But because it just sort of that sort of thing.
Because you kind of, I get watching it now. I was like, oh well, that's what they have to do to get
to make Gozer.
Yeah, to make Gozer come forth.
Yeah.
Gozer's weird and anticlimactic. Super anticlimactic.
Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit weird about this film, actually.
Crappy lightning that doesn't look very good, but then,
she's not very scary.
Hand animation, not very scary. And then the final villain as well, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, is funny.
Yeah, but...
It's funny and impactful, but not scary.
No, but
I think it needs to be.
No, it doesn't need to be, but I think Gozer needs to have, or should have a bit more, like, presence and intimidation.
You are told all about, Goza's coming. Goza's a bad person. If you heard about Goza, this Goza person made this building. This building is perfectly built to channel Goza.
And it's like
Boom.
all the paranormal
Goza comes
activity
along.
because of Goza.
Yeah, Goza comes along. 90 seconds of screen time, tops.
Yeah. It is a little bit anticlimactic. I would say that
Before she just gets popped like a spot, and then bam.
critical point of view.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a... Well, she's just not scary.
No.
You know?
She probably should have had a bit more presence to her. Like I want to say Prince Vigo again in Ghostbusters 2 had a lot of presence to him. I remember that guy. I remember what he looked like. He spent the entire movie staring at his
I think I've only seen that once.
painting,
Yeah.
and he is scary. But Goza, I can't remember. I saw Ghostbusters last week. Can't remember what Goza looks like.
Really?
Cannot remember what Goza looks like.
Kind of like some of the outfits from the Met Gala last night. Actually.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, okay. Anything else that doesn't work or that's a bit strange?
No, I mean, like we said, the majority of the effects hold up super well.
Yeah, impressively
the
well.
effects, they're pretty good.
And the proton beams just became absolutely iconic.
Yep.
And so I think it's because it became so iconic that it doesn't date.
Yeah. One of the effects for me was when they get turned into the dogs and then they're running.
Yeah.
When they're the dogs standing still or kind of, up close in the shot, it's fine. But when you see them move, when they run up the
animation.
stairs,
That's because it's stop motion.
it just doesn't that looks really bad.
Stop motion's it's always been the best way to do it at the time.
Yeah. But that lets it down, I think. As if you were showing this film to a young, a teenager now.
Yeah,
they'd be like,
they
that
can't
looks
do that many
rubbish.
frames.
You say that about stop motion, but look at all the movies that Leica make, like Paranorman and Kubo and the Two Strings.
That's true. That's very true.
Those look astonishing. But having said that, they are doing stop motion on the entire frame, whereas a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like this, Jason and the Argonauts,
Can't mix the real world and stop motion. It looks odd.
It just doesn't look right. So that was the other thing that I kind of remembered as being a bit peculiar and doesn't really hold up. So is it still a good film?
Yeah.
Why do we like it? Because we just like it because we did when we were kids and we think we should? Or is it really good?
No, this is a good film. It has
it's
action. It has laughs. The romantic plot is completely unbelievable, so I'm not going to include that. But it has action and laughs, and it has effects that work. It has dramatic narrative that works. It just works.
Yeah, I think I agree. I wanted to ask the question because I wondered if that was influencing how we think and how we feel about the film.
Yeah, I mean,
for you it does, Tom.
For me, it definitely does influence me. But I think aside from that, I think it does. Just the fact that there are huge conventions. There are massive. There's a huge fan base. A couple of friends of mine are making a documentary about it at the moment, and that's that shows you the level of which people are interested.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's still definitely a thing.
I mean, sorry.
What do you think is the best part of Ghostbusters? The element of the film? I think the dialogue, for me, is what makes Ghostbusters Ghostbusters.
It's so quotable.
It is very quotable.
I hadn't even remembered how much was from that film.
I've lost count of how many times I've said this on this podcast. It's a complete world. It's its own thing, and it does its thing within it.
And it takes it to another level. When it is its own world, a film it stands in good stead, I think, from what we've talked about.
It fits with the New York vibe very well.
Definitely.
Is this a superhero movie?
No.
Why not?
Because they don't have superpowers.
Sure they do.
No, they don't.
They're the only 4 people in the world who can catch and trap
They have
ghosts.
super weapons.
Only because they've got the machinery to do it.
They don't have Iron Man's a superhero movie.
But he's got his thing in him.
His arc reactor is part of his body.
Not from Iron Man 3.
Well, yeah, but that's fine. But that's because he's become that person. Whereas, Winston is a point in case.
Yeah.
They hire him
Yeah.
off the street, pretty much.
Batman's a superhero movie.
Yeah. But he trains to be Batman, right? And stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I would say it's not a superhero
I think
movie.
this is a superhero movie.
I don't think it is.
I think this is for
really
people.
interesting.
It really landed to me, and I wrote it down once they were going for the final showdown with Gozer, and the building gets, I don't know what we call it, haunted,
Yeah.
but in a much bigger word. And they go and they roll up in the car, and there's crowds outside, and they're cheering, and I'm like, oh, they're superheroes.
Nah. I still don't.
They
I
have
don't know.
fans that cheer them on.
I think the way that it's represented in the film, though, is that they're kind of, especially like Bill Murray's character, like they're kind of basking in the fact that they are
They're celebrities.
air quote famous.
Well, they are,
Yeah.
but they're normal people who have made this happen.
Yeah. Like superheroes.
Whereas-
But it was interesting when you
Huh?
first talked about
Like
superheroes.
superheroes.
I was like,
Superheroes
no,
are normal.
because like Tom said, they don't have a superpower. But
Yeah.
I mean, Batman doesn't
Is
have a
mega
superpower.
rich.
He is, but that's not a superpower.
No, I know it's not,
It's
but
just super privileged.
yeah, it is. But I mean, there's his thing that allows it. Like Batman wouldn't be Batman if he wasn't rich, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, here's the basis of my argument, right? If these are the only 4 people on the planet that can do what they do, then they are super.
Well, but they
Yeah,
aren't,
but then
though,
I'm going to
because
say to you that
Anyone can take the proton pack, right?
Well,
Is that what
I
you're
mean-
going to say?
yeah, because and that's exactly the premise of the Paul Feig movie.
Yeah?
Well,
It's a
I mean,
franchise.
Oh, we've made it so far without mentioning
but
Paul
they
Feig
can
movie.
hire people to join them.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
like you can't hire
That's true.
a superhero.
You know,
Oh, I'm into
Heroes
minds
for
about
hire.
this. Okay, so
Heroes for hire would
what
beg
makes a
to differ.
superhero an actual superhero? Then?
It's not superpowers.
no, because obviously Batman's, but it's got to be
It's standing up to an evil,
No.
being in the right place at the right time, being the only person who can get the job done.
Yeah, but it has to be a very specific set of circumstances that apply to only that person or small group of people. That's the difference. Whereas this can be turned into a franchise because
If it
they
weren't
can.
for Ernie Hudson, my argument would stand
Yeah.
up in Tom's mind.
Yeah, it would. And for the other movie,
Well,
where they literally have franchises.
Ernie Hudson's just War Machine. That's all he is.
I mean, but
He's the black guy that the white genius brings along, gives him a superpower. Here you go. Here's a superpower. And then Tom says it's not a superhero movie.
Yeah,
but are
it's
they
not.
just heroes?
Of course they are.
They're heroes, yes.
But rather than superheroes, I mean.
Well, regular heroes couldn't beat ghosts.
But are they true heroes? Because
No one's a true hero.
they're basically in,
Captain America's a true hero.
they're mostly in it for the money.
Well, exactly. They,
Yeah.
you know, it's a business.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything. And like, I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was a kid, and I'm a massive fan. But when she doesn't have any money, and one of the Scooby Gang's like, "Oh, you could charge people." She's like, "I'm not going to charge people to save their
exactly.
lives."
Yeah,
and then she's
yeah.
like, well, "How broke am I?" Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's not why superheroes do the things
Yeah.
they do.
Well, it's a Heroes for Hire reference, which was a Marvel comic in the 80s. I kind of want to say 70s. I'm going to stick with 80s. Could be wrong. Luke Cage, Power Man, and Iron Fist they'd be good guy mercenaries,
Right.
and they would charge for their superpowers, and it didn't often work out for them. Put them in a lot of very, very bad positions.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and
But
you know,
they're still superheroes. That's what I'm saying.
but they had superpowers.
They had an ability to do things that the regular man could not.
Couldn't get done.
Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like we could debate superheroes
Have
for
we
a
seen?
long time.
Have you guys both seen the new Ghostbusters movie?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to talk about this on my own. It's lacking.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I've seen the teaser for the next Ghostbusters movie,
Oh,
and that piqued my interest.
okay. I've not.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting seeing how that goes.
So is there anything else we need to chat about with Ghostbusters? I mean, I feel like we've got a lot of love for this film.
It's a lovable film. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest films, depending on how wide you want to cast your net, one of the greatest films ever made.
High praise.
Yeah, I certainly believe it belongs in the top 50 cultural impact movies.
See, I was going to talk about this because it's something that we've, I guess, touched on a few of the podcasts. You know, we talked about sort of Shawshank Redemption and like,
yeah,
when people say it's their favourite film, you know, is it because it's a cult thing? It's got this cult following and people just think it's great.
I think they're just virtue flagging.
Yeah.
But why has this become such a huge thing?
I think
well-drawn characters, good dialogue, great effects, funny jokes.
Is it because of the first film, or is it because of the consistent
I think it's because it
branding?
I think it's because it doesn't adhere to any genre. It crosses lots of genres.
Yep.
It has a, you know,
we said that at the beginning, didn't we?
it's got something for everybody, really.
Yep.
Yeah, it appeals to the masses, I think. You couldn't really... You'd struggle to find someone to sit and watch this film and not enjoy something about it.
I think but it's very unique. Mm-hmm. I mean, there isn't another film like Ghostbusters. And if there is, they're ones that have been made subsequently and they don't work as well. Because it was a, you know, I think the 80s were a very interesting time in films because it meant, you know, what with the realization of better optical effects, the very beginnings of computer effects, that filmmakers could push things in ways that they couldn't previously. And they tended to come up with some very unique movies. And I think that's why it stands out so much, is because there wasn't really anything like it before that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
This is an ancestor film.
Yes. Yeah.
I think before the 80s, you wouldn't get these big special and physical effect action comedies.
No. So
and that's all you get now. That's all you get now. If you watch an action movie nowadays, it's going to be 20% comedy.
Regurgitated
straight away.
Format. Yeah.
I will stand by that Ghostbusters are not superheroes, but
it's wrong.
But Ghostbusters is the reason we have the MCU. Because it's got
That's
that
interesting.
It's got the lightning in a bottle that they are trying to capture and emulate, which they have done on some of their movies, but not all.
No, I think that's fair.
Sophie, what do you think? Do you think Ghostbusters is a superhero film or not?
I can't make my mind up. I need to do some research.
Maybe we need
I need to have like a proper debate.
You guys talk
about
amongst
this.
yourselves, and I'm going to Google
what makes a
the
superhero.
proper definition of what makes a superhero.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what Wikipedia says.
Okay,
regardless of whether Ghostbusters are superheroes or not, it wasn't really my argument. I still think this is a superhero movie.
Okay. I can kind of see what you're getting at. But anyway, while you're doing that, I will do a piece of trivia that I've got.
Okay.
So, I mentioned earlier that I have two friends who are making a documentary about Ghostbusters. They've been making it for a long time now. It's been a real sort of labour of love for them. They're just finishing it now.
Okay.
It's called Cleaning Up the Town.
Cleaning Up the Town.
Yeah. And I thought for this episode, so Anthony Bueno's the director and his sister Claire's producing it. And I thought I'll text Anthony just to see if he's got anything interesting that I can find out. Because, why not? He's been researching it for pretty much a decade.
So,
he must know something interesting about this movie, right?
Right.
The piece of trivia he gave me that I thought was fascinating, and it hadn't occurred to me beforehand. So, co-written by Harold Ramis.
Yes.
Who had also directed several movies up to this point.
Yep.
They happened to ask him, did he ever think about directing it?
Okay.
Because it would, to me, that would be quite an obvious choice.
Yeah,
Dan
totally.
Aykroyd and he writing it together, Harold Ramis directing it.
Yeah.
And his response was that he was more than tempted, because he'd worked with Bill Murray a lot and knew how to write for him and also how to direct him.
Yeah.
He did actually get taken aside by Ivan Reitman and told specifically, do not direct the actors. And it was like a bit of a lesson for Harold Ramis in tact and being respectful on set.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
Because, awkward.
That is a tad.
Have you got your definition?
Oh, okay.
I have a definition of a superhero taken from Wikipedia. I'm
Okay.
going to abridge slightly.
Okay.
A superhero is a type of heroic stock character, usually possessing supernatural or superhuman powers, who is dedicated to fighting the evil of their universe, protecting the public, and usually battling supervillains.
Okay, so they have everything apart from
Supernatural powers.
Yeah, but it says
Except
usually.
It says usually.
Usually.
They don't have
So they
to,
don't have
because
to.
we can all agree that Batman
And Iron Man,
and Iron Man, for example. And I would agree that having a proton pack is a supernatural power, because they are able to aggressively interact with ghosts and
It's
no
a
one else can.
supernatural-
It's not supernatural
Well,
in any way, shape or
it's
form.
scientific.
It's scientific.
It's a scientific piece of kit.
Yeah, that's true.
I just don't. I think for me, the reason I don't see them as superheroes or even really heroes, I mean,
Oh wow, because they do it for money.
no, not really. I just don't think that they do it for the right reasons. I don't think they want to save. I mean, I guess they do, but I don't feel like the characters actually.
I think you're right. I think
Want
you're
to
right.
save
Their moral
people.
compass
That
isn't
is
pointed
so
in that
skewed.
direction.
They
Yeah.
only want to save the world when they've caused the problem. Well, not them technically, but Walter Peck
Well,
has,
yeah.
because the whole, like, obviously the whole stuff with Gozer is kind of going on in the background.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really kind of.
Yeah, it's not going to come to fruition until
Yeah.
that pivotal point
Yeah, I
when
mean,
everything gets released.
it makes you wonder. Before there were the Ghostbusters, like, what was the instance of ghost-related?
Well, everything was
Things,
was
wasn't it?
fine, right? Because
Yeah.
people didn't talk about
There
it.
was a mass sponge migration.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember, I think there's a reference to the fact that everything's gearing up and ramping up
Yeah.
because it is the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to have this kind of like urgency to save the world.
I think they're driven mostly by curiosity, to be honest.
Well, they're scientists.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and that makes sense because they're scientists, and that fits with their characters.
Yeah,
That's
they're-
for me why I'm like, I don't see them as
They're basically
Heroes
running on
in
like
that
a
way.
knee-jerk reaction to the intrigue of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is happening. Let's find out what happens.
Whereas a hero, in my opinion, is, oh, this is happening. I need to help.
Yeah, and in fact, they almost. We definitely see it in Ghostbusters too, but that they almost do bad things just to see what happens if they do. They
Yeah. Well, they're
but
testing.
not they're tests, not doing bad things. That's mischaracterizing it. They are interacting more wholly with the supernatural just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Well, but-
So they consider bringing the gatekeeper and the key master together.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, no, I mean, maybe we
That would
shouldn't.
be bad.
But even Tom,
Egon is
you're-
actually probably the most superhero of all of them. He is actually trying to do good.
Yeah, and that's why I
He's
think
also
maybe
very
why
much
he's
curiosity.
my favorite character, because he actually is like, no, we need to stop this, and look, this is the end of the world, and we need to do something
He
about
bears
it.
the most responsibility for what goes
He does,
on.
and he has the most, like you said, moral, intentions, I think, in their actions.
I was
But-
going to say, is it Egon? Egon is definitely the one that tells them not to cross the streams.
Yep, he tells
Yeah.
them not to bring the gatekeeper to the
and
keymaster.
the Keymaster together, yeah.
But does he also tell them to cross the streams?
Yes,
Yes.
it's his idea
It is his idea, isn't it?
to save the world.
Yeah. So
And-
That's a
it's
great
as
little
I-
Chekhov's gun, isn't it,
Well,
by the way?
It's great as well because he knows that will kill them in his head. That's why he's like, because we'll make a massive explosion, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Because we'll kill ourselves and we'll kill everyone. But he's the one that suggests it because he's willing to sacrifice himself
Yeah.
to save the world. And that's why I'm like,
He's a
the
superhero.
superhero.
Oh, I love being right.
But he's the only one.
Oh,
Sorry.
Egon Man,
Well, he's a hero, yeah.
the Spengler.
But you can even see it though in like Tom, when you said about your favorite, or one of your favorite scenes was like in the hotel. They absolutely trash the place
They do.
Yes.
and have no. I mean, I know they got the the ghost in the end, but
Yeah.
they don't seem to have any kind of awareness. If a superhero was in that
Yeah.
scenario, they wouldn't have made such a mess because they would be good at what they're doing.
I disagree with that. Think about Hulk and like...
Okay, but they might have made a mess, but they wouldn't have made a mess just because they were fumbling around, not knowing what to do. They would have made a mess because they just made a mess in destruction.
Man of Steel, Superman and Man of Steel certainly wouldn't have minded because he pretty much destroyed the entirety of Metropolis with one fight.
Well, sure.
But I mean, you're right.
Yes.
The bit you're thinking of that sums your point up, I think, is when Venkman pulls the tablecloth out from underneath the table.
Yeah, he's like, I just
want to try that. Yeah.
Like,
he's chaotic neutral.
Yes.
And I think they all fit like in a different box on an alignment chart, like a Dungeons and Dragons alignment chart, where Venkman would be chaotic neutral and Ray would be chaotic good, but Egon will probably be lawful good.
I think Ray's the most emotional of them. He's got the heart, he's got the conscience, he's got the most, you know, he's kind of like the one that's got the most emotional investment in things, I think.
Yeah. But he is driven by
science.
Yeah, his love of science.
But also he's the person who in Ghostbusters 2 plays music to the slime because he wants to see how it reacts. He's the person who
he's curious.
Yeah.
That's why he's a scientist.
Yeah.
But Spengler for me completely shifts and becomes a hero.
He's a hero.
Interesting. Okay.
And Janine sees it as well. That's why she wants to bang him. And he has no idea that's going on, by the way. He has no idea.
The few little scenes between them are hilarious.
Yeah.
And she's just like, that's like, you know, oh God. And he's just totally oblivious. Yeah. So I think that's a wrap on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Okay. So big thumbs up from us. Please go and watch it if you haven't seen it.
No surprises there.
No surprises. Next week, we are going to be talking about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So tune in for that next Wednesday. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast was recorded in the Upbeat Studio in Soho. For studio inquiries, drop us an email on studio@upbeatproductions.com. You can also find us on Twitter. Head to @upbeatprod to see what we're up to and @upbeat_ents for our film coverage and entertainment news.